Peter Pan, Chapter 5. A make-believe place come true. Neverland began to throb with life as its inhabitants sensed that Peter was returning. The Lost Boys went out to look for Peter. The pirates went to look for the Lost Boys. The Indians went to look for the pirates, and the beasts went to look for the Indians. Since each group was circling around the island at the same speed, they didn't find each other. The boys, wearing the skins of bears that had killed, were walking in single file. Each held a dagger. The number of boys on the island varied. Some grew up, which was against Peter's rules, and some left. Tonight there were 6, counting the twins as 2. Toodles was the gentlest and the most humble of all the boys. He also had the worst luck. It seemed that every time he left the group, even for a few moments, an adventure would happen, and he would miss it. He would return to find the other boys cleaning up from their latest victims. Nibs was known for his cheery nature, slightly for his sobbiness, and Curly for his habit of taking the blame for wrongdoing, whether or not he was really at fault. Finally, there were the twins, who always stayed close together. And here's a picture of the Lost Boys. The pirates were walking rapidly around the island, singing their dreadful song. Avast belay, yo-ho, heave-to, a-pirating we go, and if we're part by a shot, we're sure to meet below. Never was there a more vicious and wicked-looking band. The pirate Secco was known for writing his name in letters of blood on the bodies of his victims. Bill Jukes, who once killed 6 men in a single day, was covered with tattoos. Gentleman Starkey loved to kill as much as the rest of the band, but was very dainty in his methods. The shipmate Smee maimed people just for the fun of it. He named his weapon Johnny Corkscrew because it looked like a corkscrew that people used to remove corks from wine bottles. Other members of the Pirates band worth mentioning were Noodler, whose hands were attached backwards, and Skylights. Here's a picture of the pirate band. The fearsome Captain James Hook lay comfortably in a chariot borne by his men. He was the largest and darkest of the group. His long hair was arranged in curls that looked like black candles. His blue eyes didn't seem to fit with the rest of him, but during his evil acts they gleamed horribly, and red spots appeared in them. Captain Hook had a reputation for amazing courage, but he was said to cringe at the sight of his own blood, which was thick and had an odd color. A contraption that enabled him to smoke 2 cigars at the same time dangled from his mouth. By far the grimiest thing about Captain Hook was the iron claw that had replaced his right hand. Hook's method of operation was always the same. He would choose a victim, tear him with the claw, and then kick the body aside, all the while continuing to puff on the 2 cigars. Such was the terrifying enemy of Peter Pan. Which of the 2 would win the ultimate contest for the control of Neverland? And here's a picture of Captain Hook. The Indians who lived on the island were noted for their cruelty. They moved noiselessly around the island, constantly on the trail of the pirates. They carried tomahawks and knives, and their bodies gleamed with war paint and oil. The scalps of pirates hung on ropes around their necks. The first Indian in line was always Great Big Little Panther. He carried so many scalps that it was hard for him to walk. Bringing up the rear was Tiger Lily, an extraordinarily brave and beautiful young woman who held the male members of the tribe at bay with her hatchet. Here's a picture of the Indian group. On this night of Peter's return, the Indians were heavy with food and drink, but the beasts who followed them around the island were lean, mean, and hungry. The beasts included lions, tigers, bears, and other man-eaters. Their tongues were hanging out as they searched for prey. A giant crocodile was among the beasts. This creature was searching for a particular target. The reader will soon discover his identity. After the boys, oh, here's a picture of the beasts. Oh, there's the crocodile. After the boys had circled the island many times, they stopped to rest near their home. I wish Peter would hurry back, said Toodles. I want to hear about Cinderella and all the other stories that he knows. I'm sure that my mother was just like Cinderella. The others nodded. They were not allowed to talk about mothers when Peter was there, but now they conversed freely. A sound in the distance soon forced them into silence. However, it grew steadily closer. It was the pirates singing their hideous song. Yo ho, the pirate life, the flag of skull and bones, a merry hour, a hempen rope, and hay for Davy Jones. In the moment, the boys scampered as quickly as rabbits, disappearing into their home. Home was a most unusual place. The pirates had tried to find it for a long time, but the entrance was invisible. In fact, there were 7 entrances. Only by moving aside piles of brushwood could a visitor discover them. There were holes hollowed out of tree trunks, and each hole was the size of a boy. As the pirates moved forward, Starkey glimpsed Nibs disappearing through the forest. He aimed his gun, but Hook's iron claw stopped him. "Let me kill him," Starkey pleaded. "No," declared Hook. "The noise of the shot will bring Tiger Lily's Indians upon us. Do you want to lose your scalp? Anyway, 1 isn't enough. I want all of those boys." Hook turned to Smee, his most loyal follower. "Most of all, I want their captain, Peter Pan," he confided. "He cut off my arm and flung it to a crocodile that was passing by." "No wonder you are so frightened of crocodiles," Smee remarked. "Not all crocodiles," Hook corrected him. "Just that one crocodile. It liked my arm so much that it has followed me ever since, licking its lips for the rest of me." Hook sat down on a large mushroom and stretched out his claw. "That crocodile would have gotten me already, Smee, but it swallowed a clock that keeps ticking. Whenever I hear the tick, I run to get away." "Some day," replied Smee, "the clock will stop working and then the crocodile will get you." "That's the fear that haunts me," Hook admitted. Then suddenly he winced in pain. "What's the matter?" asked Smee. "This seed is hot," Hook exclaimed. "I'm burning up." He jumped up at once, and the 2 pirates examined the mushroom. It was the largest one they had ever seen. When they tried to pull it up, it came loose at once because it had no root. Even more strange, smoke started to rise from the spot where the mushroom had been. "A chimney!" cried Hook. The pirates had indeed discovered the chimney of the Lost Boys' underground home. The boys stopped it up with a mushroom whenever enemies were in the neighborhood. The boys were chattering loudly, talking about plans to welcome Peter Pan home. Listening from above to the conversation, the pirates grinned and put the mushroom back in its place. It was then that they noticed the holes in the 7 trees. "Time to put your plan into action, Captain," laughed Smee, rubbing his hands in anticipation of capturing the boys. "Right," said Hook. "We'll return to the ship and cook a big, thick cake with green sugar on it. We'll leave the cake on the shore of the Mermaid's Lagoon. The boys always swim there and play with the mermaids. They'll find the cake and gobble it up. Before long, they'll die." "What a delicious plan," exclaimed Smee, and they began to sing. "Avast belay when I appear, be fear there overtook. Knots left upon your bones when you have shaken claws with cook." As they finished, another sound came to their ears. Tick-tock, tick-tock. "The crocodile!" gasped Hook. He bounded away, followed by Smee. The boys emerged from underground, safe for a while longer. "Look, a great white bird is flying this way," Nib shouted, all eyes turning toward the sky. "It looks so eerie, and it keeps moaning." "Poor Wendy." "Poor Wendy," observed Curly. "Yes, there are birds called Wendies," recalled Toodles. Wendy was now almost directly overhead. Behind her flew Tinker Bell. The jealous fairy was darting at the girl from every direction and pinching her savagely. "Peter wants you to shoot the Wendy," Tink calls out to the boys. "Okay," replied the boys in a single voice. They never questioned Peter's orders. They popped down their trees to fetch bows and arrows. Toodles was the first to return. "Out of the way, Tink," he shouted. In a moment he had fired, and Wendy fluttered to the ground with an arrow in her chest.